Goku and his friends thwarted the evil King Piccolo's plans for global conquest. Thanks to their heroic efforts, the shadow of doom was lifted from the world, and a new day of hope has dawned. For in the years since Piccolo's defeat, it has been a time of rebuilding, healing, prosperity, and peace for the citizens of Earth. But, unknown to them, at this very moment, a new threat to humankind is hurtling through the solar system. And as the mysterious invader makes its final approach to Earth, one thing is certain. The peaceful era the human race has enjoyed for the last 5 years is about to come crashing to an end. The South Galaxy has been shattered by a Super Saiyan.
We've got to do something! Our galaxy's next!
Who is this mysterious Saiyan warrior that now darkens the skies with his presence? His search for the one named Kakarot has already led him to Piccolo, one of the most powerful fighters on Earth. Could it lead him to Goku as well? The answers to these burning questions will soon be revealed. And Goku will discover the secrets of his past next time on Dragon Ball Z!
Welcome back to the channel, and today we're starting Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. Now I'm still busy with Budokai 3, I've already done the story mode, but I've not played each character versus the whole roster. But I will be doing that as well, so maybe I'm gonna be uploading less of the Budokai 3 character versus character roster basically, but I'm still gonna do it. It's just gonna take a little bit longer. And I'm starting with the Tenkaichi series because Ssparkling 0, there was leaks and stuff, well, data mined leaks suggesting that Ssparkling 0 is coming this October. So I don't have a lot of time to finish both all the Tenkaichi and Raging Blast games. So I'm just going to be doing the story mode and catch up with playing the characters later on. So let's just get into it. New game. Gonna start off with the training mode. because it's been a while since I played this game. I still remember a bunch of stuff, but best off just training tutorial. Let's start off with basic movement, obviously. The boringest thing to do. Well, yes, Piccolo. First we'll discuss basic movement. You can move into directions, the directional button is pressed, of course. Well, you can also move using the left analog stick. Your ability is to do a Z search is using the L1 button efficiently is affected by your movement. By pressing the up directional button you can move towards your opponent. Okay. When a character gets close to each other, they enter approach mode. In this state you can move towards your opponent. Okay, so you can just go around. I remember that. When leaving approach range, you return to regular mode. When using the directional button and pressing X button, you can perform a high-speed dash. By pressing the X button during a dash, you can also cancel a dash. After locating your opponent with a lock-on, pressing the X button will start a dash towards them. This is very important technique, so make sure you remember it. By pressing the R1 button you can jump. Okay, when pressing the R button during a dash you can do a dash jump. Now then, there's all about some basic movements. Controlling the amount of distance between you and your opponent will lead to victory. By using each type of movement, depending on the situation, your battle power will rise sharply.
That's all. Make sure it's pounded into your head.
Thank you, Piccolo.
Which one should we take care of?
Of course, flying, I think that's using key plus directional dash, basically.
Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next, we will discuss the levitation technique, which will allow you to freely fly through the air. That's probably R1. When pressing the R1 button during a jump, you begin to levitate. You can hover in mid-air. As with normal movements, you can move around by pressing the directional buttons while levitating, of course. All these things are basic stuff. You can climb using the R1 button and dive using the R2 button, flying up and down basically. And when using key, you can move faster. When pressing the R1 button while approaching, you briefly rise diagonally backward, and with the R2 button you can briefly drop. Okay, that's something I didn't do a lot. Also, by pressing the X button while moving with the directional button while levitating, you can perform a flying dash. That's the fast-paced thing. As with the normal dash, by pressing X button you can cancel a flying dash. That's all there is about levitation. By learning how to use the various flying motions, you can fly through the air anywhere you want. Gain control of offensive and defensive flying skills in order to put yourself ahead of your rivals.
That's all. Make sure it's pounded into your head. Which one should we take?
Lock on, that's I think it's L1.
Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next, we'll discuss lock on, seeking out your location of your opponent. First, check the radar in the bottom right corner of the screen. The yellow triangle in the center of the radar is you, and the purple triangle is your opponent. In this way, you can track your opponent's location, just as you can lose sight of them during battle. That's actually quite important for androids. When you lose sight of your opponent, their display on the radar also disappears. When this happens, it's easy for you to be hit by your opponent and sneak attacks, so it's a very dangerous situation to be in. And so, when you lose sight of your opponent, lock on to them. You can do this either by auto search or manual search when locking on. When doing an auto search, The search range gradually increases by holding down the L1 button. When your opponent is within range, the location is displayed on the radar. And then you're locked on. So a manual search is by pressing the R3 button while releasing lock on. The camera will swing around behind your character. And you can control your viewpoint using the directional button or left analog stick. By diagonally pressing the L1 button you can lock on. I've never done that before. Locking on can be interrupted if you are hit by a powerful attack such as Dragon Smash or Ultimate Blast, when there are differences between the lock-on speed and range for each character. Okay, lock on, you are left utterly defenseless, so be careful. There are also differences in the abilities of different types of characters to perform lock-on, and these types of differences are an important element for each type. That's why I mentioned the androids. First, let me explain the Z-type. This type of one performs standard lock-on. A lock-on is successful when spotting the opponent with their own eyes, so if there's any obstacles between them and their opponent, the lock-on will fail. However, since Z-type characters can detect ki of their opponents, they can get pretty good idea where they are, even when hiding behind obstacles. Next I will explain about Scout type characters. This type has the highest performance variety of locking on out of all the other types. By using Scouter, locking on it's instantly successful. Even if the opponent is hiding. However, sometimes the Scouters malfunction as a result of taking attacks from their opponents. When this happens, their lock-on ability drops below that of the Z-type. Also, since they cannot detect ki without their Scouters, they are helpless if their opponent is hiding from them. This type of character does not have any ki, so unless they are directly spotted, their movement will fail. However, with the exception of characters that have their own search system equipped, this type has the disadvantage of having a low locking on ability. Further, characters are equipped with their own search systems are slightly below Scouter types in their performance. Finally, there's the other type. This type is like the Z type, made even weaker. This type has extremely low lock-on performance and is unable to detect their opponent's ki, nor can they mask their own. That's all there is about lock-on. Since there is great differences in locking on performance between different types, things can become complicated. Stages with a lot of obstacles can become an important factor, so you should remember the differences between these types.
Again, concentrate your energy. Which one should we take care of?
Okay, ki.
Right, let's do it. Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next we will discuss ki and the way that using ki-based techniques drains your power. When using ki-based techniques such as ki blasts and finishing moves, your ki is consumed. When you check your remaining ki, which is displayed by the yellow gauge at the top of the screen, by pressing and holding the L2 button you can charge your ki up. When charging your ki you are completely defenseless, so make sure you are charged when it's safe to do so. That's all there is about ki. Ki is consumed by various motions in addition to attacking, so when you run out of ki, it leaves you in an extremely disadvantageous situation. So be sure to always keep an eye on how much ki you have remaining.
Let's say you're all done here for now. Which one should we take care of?
Dragon Dash.
Do it. Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next we will discuss the Dragon Dash, where your body is surrounded by an aura and you move at high speeds. This is done by pressing the X button while holding down the L2 button, allowing you to change at high speeds, charge at high speeds towards your opponent. By pressing the directional button at the same time, you can also Dragon Dash in whichever direction you like. Dragon Dash consumes ki and they have a limitation of not being available if your ki is under 10%. Their speed is faster than that of a regular dash and the ki blast attacks from your opponents are automatically deflected. However, Smash Ki Blast's attack cannot be deflected. They can also have drawbacks of not allowing you to launch any Ki Blasts. Also, when doing a Dragon Dash with the directional button, you can also ascend using R1 button and descend using R2 button. After pressing the X button while holding down the L2 button, cancelling the Dragon Dash. You can also press directional buttons and the X button again to change your direction. By pressing the R1 button while holding the L2 button down, you can shoot upwards while doing a Dragon Dash. Similarly, by pressing the R2 button while holding the L2 button down, you can drop downwards. You can keep shooting up or down until you hit either the ceiling or the ground, and you can cancel along the way with the X button. By pressing the X button while holding the L2 button, as you are shooting up or down, you can Dragon Dash towards your opponent while locking onto them. By using the directional button concurrently, it's possible to Dragon Dash in any direction you want to go. You can also use the R1 button to shoot up, the R2 button to drop down, while pressing the L2 button from a Dragon Dash. That's all there is about Dragon Dashing. The Dragon Dash offers increased power of movement and boasts a great force of smash attack following a Dragon Dash. So keep an eye on how much ki you have left on your gauge and use it proactively.
Let's begin. Concentrate your energy. Which one should we take care of?
Hand-to-hand combat.
All right, let's do it. Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next we will discuss the basics of hand-to-hand combat. By pressing the square button you can engage in hand-to-hand combat. By pressing square button repeatedly you can launch a rush attack. Rush attacks do not do a great deal of damage, but they do have a feature of helping your vitality to recover when landing hits. Every time you perform a rush hand-to-hand attack, the smash gauge on the bottom right of your screen increases. You can hold down the square button for the amount of this gauge, launching a smash attack that will send your opponent flying. By combining a smash attack with the directional button you can perform different techniques. There are 3 stages of smash attack. By releasing the square button after holding it down briefly, you can perform a smash attack that sends your opponent flying a short distance. The smash gauge will be green. While you can do a rush power smashes, which send your opponent flying even greater, the smash gauge will be yellow. Or you can add a powerful attack in your form of a rush full power smash attack. The smash gauge will be red. Additionally, when pressing the X button immediately after a power smash hit, you can chase after your opponent with a regular dash. When fighting on the ground, by pressing the X button right after sending your opponent flying upward, you can dash towards the location where your opponent will come down. And that will come in handy. By pressing X button immediately following a full power smash hit, a dragon homing occurs. And by then pressing the square button, you can perform a dragon smash with a fierce pursuit attack. By using the directional button when performing a dragon smash, you can send your opponent flying in whatever direction you like. There we go. By holding the square button and pressing the X button during a smash attacks in motion, you can also cancel the move. You can also engage to hand-to-hand attacks from dashes or jumps, but these sorts of attacks cannot be performed during rush attacks. It can only be accomplished during smash attacks. What's more, the direction following a smash attack out of a dash is repeatedly hitting the square button. You can initiate a rush attack. By pressing X button and the up directional button while near the opponent, you can grab them and do a throw attack. Now then, let's count down of the basics of hand-to-hand combat. Hand-to-hand combat is a very important means of attacking and will be the mainstay of your fighting technique, so make sure your hits connect so the battle comes out in your favor.
So you're all done here for now. Which one should we take care of? Alright, let's do it.
Hand-to-hand combat 2.
If you ever find yourself lost, come back here anytime.
Next we will discuss the more advanced forms of hand-to-hand combat. By pressing another button during the rush attack, it leads to different sorts of derivative actions. Use the X button to deliver a heavy finish where the opponent that is hit cannot move for a short while. Depending on how long you hold down the triangle button, you will do a two-stage shout and key blast combo that will blow your opponent away. By pressing the X button and the directional button, you can do a rush step evasion. By pressing the circle button during a rush hand-to-hand attack, you can take a body striking motion. When the opponent's rush attack hits you during this body strike motion, you can counter them and use a body strike technique to attack them. Further, for a certain group of characters, by pressing the triangle button while pressing the circle button, you can adopt the body strike motion immediately. Its performance is the same but if doing the body strike following a rush, but since it can be done at any time, it can become a great weapon if mastered. Or by pressing the circle button and down directional button, circle button, and left and right directional buttons during a rush, you can do a rush high speed movement. Normally you can only land up to 5 blows in a rush to hand combat, and after the 5th strike your opponent will go down. After a rush, the resistive attacks hit. Further, pressing the square button repetitively will lead to more than 5 hits during rush attacks. By pressing the circle button and up directional button right after the rush hit, you can do a pursuit of your opponent at high speed in order to land a following. You must make full use of these combos in order to raise your level of smash gauge during enough to unleash a full power smash. Use a rush based attack to link a rush attack with the full power smash. That's all there is about hand-to-hand attacks. There are many different types of hand-to-hand combat, but striking the opponent when they are open is the most common point of all of them. Be sure to watch your opponent's condition carefully and attack accordingly, not strike out randomly.
That's all. Make sure it's pounded into your head. Which one should we take care of?
Key-based attacks.
Let's do it.
Key-based attacks.
You
Next we will discuss key-based attacks which can hit the opponent even if you are at a distance. By pressing the triangle button you can shoot a key blast. By pressing the triangle button repeatedly you can shoot a rush of key blasts. Also by holding the triangle button down for a long time you can launch a smash key blast that will send your opponent down when it hits. Further, you can launch a key blast from jumps or dashes as well. You can also launch rush key blasts or smash key blasts. By releasing the Z shirts and pressing the R3 button, you will switch to manual search mode, and by ignoring locking on you can shoot key blasts. By pressing the R3 button again or by being hit by an opponent's attack or shooting mode is cancelled. That's all there is about key blast techniques. The performance of key techniques varies greatly between characters and there are sorts of ways you can use them, such as working them into rushes for containment. When key techniques are used well, the great number of variations are added to your offensive capabilities. So keep an eye out on your key gauge and see what you can do with them.
Let's begin. Concentrate your energy. Which one should we take care of?
There's a lot of things. Hey, I don't remember taunts in Tenkaichi 1.
Alright, let's do it. Let's begin.
Now for guarding. Next we'll discuss the guarding and blocking attack against your opponent's attacks. You can guard by pressing the O button or the circle button, guarding defense against most attacks. When you are on the receiving end of guard crash, a great deal of ki is lost, and if you run out of ki, you'll run out of ki as a result. Yep. When you'll be left stunned for a short time. When you are stunned, the only action you can take is to hit your buttons rapidly to hasten the recovery, so it's a very dangerous situation to be in. If you can read which direction your opponent's full power smash attack will send you, then by pressing the directional buttons and the circle button you can guard against a powerful smash attack. For example, if your opponent is coming out with a full power smash attack that would send you flying downward, by pressing the up directional button while holding the circle button will allow you to guard, and if successful your favorite gauge will increase. Additionally, if your opponent hasn't pressed the directional button, you can guard just by pressing the circle button. If you time your guards right, you can perform blocks against your opponent's rush hand-to-hand attacks. By successfully blocking, not only can you stop their opponent's attacks, but you'll be the first one able to move afterwards, making it possible to quickly switch from defense to offense. Your last hit cannot be a key blast or other unblockable attacks. Finish the match with a normal attacks or finishing move or super finishing move. That's all there is about guarding and blocking. Guarding is an extremely important skill, but you cannot win if all you do is defend. So it's a good idea to practice switching between offense and defense until you can do it quickly.
Let's begin. Concentrate your energy. Which one should we take care of?
Evasive actions.
Let's do it. Let's begin. You ready for this?
Next we'll discuss the evasive actions, or how to evade your opponent's attacks. When approaching each other by pressing the X button and the directional button, you can make small movements in the direction by pressing the press, okay? By pressing the circle button right before your opponent's throw technique motion hits, you can deflect a grabbing motion and counter their throw. By pressing the circle button right before your opponent's smash attack or dragon smash attack lands, you can evade the attack by moving at a high speed. By pressing the left and right directional button at the right time, you can swing around and behind your opponents. Additionally, by the same operations, you can avoid your opponent's key-based blast to ultimate blast by moving at high speeds. Just before your opponent's key blast or rush blast hits, you press O to deflect them away. Every time you deflect a key blast, your favor gauge will increase. You can also deflect while in the middle of a jump. During dashes in the Dragon Dashes method of the dealing with the key blast is a little different than normal. When in the middle of a dash, pressing the circle button will cause you to go into a deflecting motion, and you can deflect key blast without having to think about the timing. When doing a Dragon Dash, by pressing the circle button to match your opponent's smash key blast, you can also perform a rolling evasion to evade the key blast. By pressing the circle button just before your opponent's smash key blast hits, you can bounce their key blast back at them. By pressing and holding the up directional button just before going down, you can perform a spring up dash. Or by pressing and holding down just before going down, you can perform a backstep rise. By pressing and holding the left and right directional button just before going down, you can also perform a sidestep rise. When sent flying by your opponent's throw or smash attacks, you will receive a great deal of damage if you slam into the ground or wall. But if you input command displayed while you're hurting, you can perform a defensive fall in mid-air. Also, if you can input all of the commands displayed, you can do a Dragon Dash towards your opponent and charge at them. If you have been knocked down or stunned or have been hit by a block crash or a heavy finish attack, you can recover more quickly by repeatedly pressing buttons. That's all there is about evasive actions. Just with attacking, there are various different methods of evading. And if you can use those methods, you will be able to deal with most of any attack. If you can remain calm and assert how your opponent will attack, then evade them, you will be given a great chance to fight back. So even if you get into a pinch, don't give up, and look at your chance to turn the tables on them.
Let's begin. Concentrate your energy.
I'm not sure I'm gonna remember all of this, but I remember a bunch of it. Max power mode is when you hold, I think it's key charge, L2, and go into the blue bar. Then you can do your ultimate, or just punch and stuff. When you have one favorite gauge stored up and your key is at 100%, your key is unleashed and you'll enter max power mode. Yep, that's the blue bar I was talking about. You can only perform a supreme technique ultimate blast when in this state. With L2 button and square button you can do a hyper smash attack, which cannot be guarded against. Also, there are a number of other things that are effective in this stage, such as being able to perform powerful smashes and full power smashes without having the smash gauge charged. And that's actually something I haven't tried. That would probably work against Broly. Also, while in max power mode, you can use any action that consumes ki as much as you like, aside from finishing moves or super finishing moves. When you enter max power mode, your ki gauge changes into max power gauge. And until this gauge runs out, you will remain in max power mode. When using a finishing move or a super finishing move, max power mode is forced to end. That's all there is about max power mode. If you can start max power mode at the right time, you can change the battle situation completely around. And so, preserving your favorite gauge and ki is another strategy you can take.
I say you're all done here for now. Which one should we take care of?
Okay, favorite moves. And that's probably like evasives and Kaioken and so on. And Solar Flare. Next you'll take about, it's not evasive, it's like a block technique, like in Xenoverse, when you use evasives. By pressing the circle button while holding down the Alt button, you can perform a character's favorite technique. By pressing the circle button and the up directional button, you can hold down the Alt button, you can use a different variety of favorite moves. Favorite moves do not consume ki, but rather your stock of favorite gauge. The amount of stock consumed varies depending on the favorite move and type performed. Favorite gauge automatically stores up with the passage of time, and when your favorite gauge is full and your stock increases, you can have up to 3 stocks. That's all there is about favorite moves. Favorite moves are different from finishing moves as their direct damage is not all that great, but there are many that have the effect of granting supplemental abilities, so you can remember which character's favorite moves you can make good use of.
Make sure it's pounded into your head. Which one should we take care of?
Finishing moves and super finishing moves. That's L2 triangle and left to right or up. Or is it circle? I think it's triangle. When you will discuss a finishing move and super finishing moves that can deal opponent a great deal of damage. When the ki gauge is built up enough for each technique, by pressing the triangle button while holding the L2 button down, you can release a powerful finishing move that boasts a lot of force. By pressing the triangle button and the up directional button while holding the L2 button down, a different type of finishing move can be used. During max power mode, by pressing the triangle button and down directional button while holding the L2 button down will allow you to launch your super finishing move. Super finishing moves are different from each character, but they all boast a great deal of damage and power and force. That's all there is about finishing moves and super finishing moves. Finishing moves and super finishing moves pack a lot of power and force, but since they consume a great deal of ki, you can't really use them at a rapid fire pace. Watch your opponent's moves closely and try to launch them only when you're certain it will connect.
That's all. Make sure it's pounded into your head. Which one should we take?
Almost done with training. Okay.
Alright,
Shootout. That sounds like a GTA thing.
let's begin. You ready for this?
Next we'll discuss shootouts. There are 2 types of shootouts, sluggish shootouts and the blast to ultimate blast shootouts. The slugging shootout occurs when both opponents connect a dash attack such as finishing move or super finishing move on each other, and the blast ultimate slugging shootout occurs when your blast technique hits each other. That's basically a beam clash. When the sluggish shootout occurs, the number of hits is displayed. You and your opponent can then rotate the left or right analog sticks at the player with the most hits will win the shootout. Yep. There goes my controller. When shootout occurs, power gauge is displayed and both of you must rotate your analog sticks to build up your gauge. When either the power gauge reaches max or expires, whoever has the greatest power gauge is the winner. The loser shootout deal a great damage of. Okay, when the shootout between a super finishing move and a finishing move happens, the side of the super finishing move starts out in a more favorable position. So ultimate attacks basically has a better chance of winning in a beam clash, is what they're saying. You can also use the L2 button to charge your opponent during a shootout, which will improve your situation. However, charging do not only severely drain your ki, and if you consume all of your ki by charging... Okay. Oh, so that's just a try to get them defeated type of move. There's a consequence of not being able to move for a short while after a shootout is over. Okay. So use it in the end of the match, if that happens. Shootouts will only occur when similar type techniques are matched. Shooting versus shooting, hand versus hand, or hand to hand. That's all there is about shootouts. If you can win with a shootout, you can get your upper hand mentally against your opponent. So when the shootout occurs, take care not to slip up and use all of your energy to beat your foe.
Let's begin. Concentrate your energy.
And now for the final taunt. That's the one I want to know.
Let's begin.
Because I never taunted in this game for some reason. Next we'll discuss taunts. While in Z search, by pressing the R3 button you can taunt your opponent. Z search, is that the lock-on thing? So when taunting, you are left completely defenseless, so make sure you only do it when you're in safe position. That's all there's about taunting. There aren't many merits to performing a taunt, but sometimes it's fun to add a little accent to the battle, depending on the situation.
Your skills are extraordinary. I doubt there's anything.
So that's unlike Budokai series where taunting reduces the enemy's ki. Okay.
What's the matter? Scared?
No, I've actually completed everything.
Techniques at this one. Go ahead and train until you're
Okay, so let's get into it. Z Battlegate. Ah, but before we do that, we need maybe change the difficulty setting to hard. I want this game to be hard.
This is where we control the Z battle gates that have recorded the battle history
Mr. Popper.
dealings with the Dragon Balls, or at least
I always felt there must have been more than one Z Battlegate like this. For some reason I wanted there to be a bunch of them, and you can unlock secrets in the game you never heard of before. That would have been cool.
And so, I have a favor to ask of you. I'd like you to open all the Z battle gates and bring back Shenron's memories. All right then, we're off.
Let's do the Raditz fight in easy and then we'll switch to hard mode. Is there anything you need to require? Fine.
Since the Horrid clash with King Piccolo, alien warriors called Saiyans have arrived on Earth, and they are capable of using incredibly powerful fighting techniques. Now, a battle for planet Earth itself will begin.
Okay. What's the requirement? It's just defeat your opponent. Okay, survive until the time runs out. That's what's fun about this game. It gives you some reason to how you play. I'm gonna try and defeat him before the survival. Well, you can't defeat him, but close to defeating.
I'm not going to let you join me any longer. You just slow me down. You're an embarrassment to our whole family. Die!
Take that. And that. And that. And take a grab. Oh boy. And he got me with a super attack. Man, I'm not used to this game, but it's fun to be back. That's definitely not lore accurate. Yeah, the camera is a little bit iffy. Okay, we have 17 seconds to survive. Block. Nine seconds.
How can you still have that much power?
And we cleared this. I'm certain of it. And we got character illustrations. Speed +2, equipment slots +1. Okay, let's go change the difficulty setting to hard mode. Just first save. Otherwise we're gonna need to get the explanation from Mr. Popo yet again. What about the Z Battlegate and all of that? Okay, so let's exit. And go down to game options. Okay, hard and very strong. Now this is gonna be fun. Save data, yes. There we go. Let's go into Z Battlegate.
This is an awesome
Alright then, we're off.
And now we're back to Raditz. Raditz. Okay, so next is Piccolo. Now what does he do? Defeat the enemy with the special beam cannon. Finishing move.
You again? What's the matter? You want me to kill you?
You can try, but see, I've actually come to kill you.
After the way you were trembling earlier, you've got some nerve all of a sudden, don't you?
This time, I have a plan.
As though that could possibly make a difference. Go ahead, Green Man. Bring it on.
Let's go, Piccolo. Okay, lock on. No, I'm gonna dash forward, lock on. Like that. Punch, punch, punch. Oh, he's quite proficient. And this is actually hard. Block, come on, no. Okay, this is the special beam cannon. And we won! but it's actually feeling quite hard.
Two more even stronger warriors are coming.
Next time, your chances of winning are absolutely zero. Live it up while you can over the next year.
Thanks for the warning. We'll deal with your Saiyan friends the same way we dealt with
Oh, that was more difficult than I expected, but we unlocked Raditz. New character added, and favorite techniques +4. Okay, that increases your favorite techniques ability. Speed +3, defense +3. Now who's next? Cyberman. Piccolo, ooh, giant grade 8. If I remember correctly, this is actually quite difficult. Secure victory with swift attack, so we need to win. And there is a time limit if I'm correct. Gohan.
What?
Yo.
Impossible.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is heavy attacks. Charge. Key blast. Bam. We have a time limit of 120 seconds. Let's do this and this. Got him. Destructive wave. Special beam cannon. Take another destructive wave. Block. 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 Oh, come on. Oh, this is getting annoying. He's repeating that whole move over and over. Now he's gonna try and do his ultimate, but I'm gonna counter him. Take. Oh no. Go on. Okay, there we go. This is officially not a part of the story, but there we go. This match was a lot easier than I remember. Or is that the grade 8 Vegeta thing that's actually difficult? Key control. Finishing move +5, defense +5. Okay, let's go back. Oh yes. So it's Kid Gohan versus Piccolo. Survive until the time runs out. So we're playing as Kid Gohan, yes? This is training before the Saiyans arrive on Earth, of course.
Looks like you've gotten a little better. For the next step in your training, I'm coming at you all out.
Huh? You can't! I'll die!
Then you will have to get stronger. Even stronger than I am. And stronger than the Saiyans who will be here in 6 months.
I'll try, Mr. Piccolo.
Then do it! Ready?
Okay, dash. And block. Punch, punch. Block. Oh no. Take that. Take that. And take a grab. Oh no. Okay. Avoid. Punch, punch. There we go. Ooh, this is getting toasty. Oh no. Oh, we're not gonna survive. Come on. No. Our first loss.
What is that? You call that defense? Concentrate your energy. That's the only way you'll survive.
Okay, let's try that again. Ah, that was scary.
Looks like you've gotten a little better. For the next step,
This game does not look bad for a 19-year-old game.
You can't. I'll die.
then you will have to get stronger. Even stronger than I am. And stronger than the Saiyans who will be here in 6 months.
I'll try, Mr. Piccolo.
Then do it! Ready, go!
No. He's definitely beating me this time. No. I think I got you into that move. Come on. Oh. That was close.
What is that? You call that defense? Concentrate.
Now yet again, we'll try that yet again. Okay. Piccolo, take my move. Come on, avoid. No, no.
Over here.
Avoid. Come on, stay away, stay away, stay away. Come on, yes. Whew, we got him.
That's a little better.
Okay, well, thanks for watching, and
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
we're gonna be playing Yamcha vs. Krillin. Until then, thanks for watching and goodbye.